for the most part, I don't really enjoy the quote-unquote comedy community. I like comedy in that I get to do cool stuff like this and that it affords me the opportunity. But comedy is very much like a chore to me. It's like something I have to do the things that I actually want to do.
I will say, though, Austin, because I was in LA, and then I had a similar experience to Davey in the corner over there.
That's me.
But it was different because I was at Playboy, and I wrote this column right after Trump got elected that Donald Trump is already making America great again. I was still shilling for the left in this column, but just the headline alone, it was right after the inauguration. It was too soon. It was 2016, and I lost a lot of friends. It's still. And people in comedy, and one of the things I was talking about last night is that I'm mad at myself because I allowed it to kind of scare me off stage. I didn't want to be around like people who I loved and supported and I thought were my friends were unfollowing me or blocking me, and I'm like, I see you in green rooms. It was hurtful, and I didn't know how to handle it at all because I was like, I thought comedy just was like we were in the trenches together. So I was mistaken in thinking that was something that united us all. And I also just assumed that we were working for the joke. Like I didn't think that there was anything, not like some ideology that we needed to push. So that was unsettling to me.
It changed, right? I mean, I think you're really onto something there too. If I had started comedy 3 years later, I would have quit immediately. Like something happened in 2015 with the Trump campaign that just broke comedians' brains.
Yeah, and at that point I was only like 4 years in.
It broke people in
5 years.
LA.
5 years in.
And your Twitter is phenomenal. Your Twitter is
Thank you.
Oh yeah, she's great. Yeah,
unbelievably good.
Yeah.
But there's something, and I kind of felt the same way. And I saw. Well, since we're name dropping all over this episode, there was Andrew. I had just gotten passed at a club, and Andrew Schultz he wasn't Andrew Schultz yet, but he was a house comedian, right? So there's this thing called getting passed in a club. It's not really a thing anymore, but
I am the only non-comedian here.
Yeah,
okay.
It's like
my art form is different.
You know how you like to say like I'm a contract girl.
Yeah,
that's what getting passed in a club is. It's like no, I'm one of the past comedians here.
Okay.
Like I get booked, Yeah.
So you get paid.
Yeah, it used to be like
you get paid.
yeah, it used to be $25 a set. yeah.
They're
But
like,
it's like,
excuse me, those chairs are mine. I'm getting $25 for this set.
Yeah.
it's a whole knighting process. You pass an audition, you get on your knees, the club comes up and taps you on your shoulders, and
Parking was $80.
I'm doing 4 sets a night for $25 and drinking $250 worth of booze. Yeah.
Are we talking about the Comedy Store? 'Cause that's basically what it was.
Yeah. So when you're like a past comic, you're doing multiple shows at the club, so you're like hanging out in the green room, right? And then this booker comes in. First of all, MeToo changed everything in New York. Like every booker became a blue-haired woman overnight.
Well, because all the bookers were fucking Me Too.
Well, there is something to it.
That's...
When I first started in comedy, like, it was a party.
Me
It
Too
was a
changed
frat
it all.
house, man. Yeah.
You couldn't rape anybody anymore.
You couldn't make any girl suck your dick for stage time after that.
That whole power shift.
Bullshit.
That's why I'm not
We used to be a
anywhere.
proper country, guys. Look what
You
they've
used to
done
have
to
to
us.
suck a man's dick to get on stage. What happened to this America?
Now you got
We're
to
done
work.
talking about Matt Rife. All right, so
Now you got to work for it. What a.
but there was the point I'm making, guys.
What happened to the America that I know and love with a woman?
What happened to
Get on
America?
her knees for anything.
Look what they've done to us. We shall overcome.
Where's the land I knew as a boy, where you could suck a dick for fame?
Now you just have to allude to spitting on one and you can have
Now
a
you're
name.
famous.
Now you're famous.
Meanwhile, Corey Haim's sitting in an early grave.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Sorry. I'll be over. I'll stay in my corner.
Maybe we did find out why you're still in that corner.
Yeah, there's too much darkness.
The point I'm trying to make is that it was a lot of fun in the beginning, and it didn't really matter whether you were liberal, conservative, just like you were
Raping, not
funny.
raping.
Yeah, it didn't matter if you were.
And the only way two Corys can keep a secret is if both of them are dead.
Jesus Christ.
Still got one running around
he's just out
blabbing.
and he's choreographing around with Limp Bizkit. You got to get Corey Feldman on normal. You have to get
I
normal.
went to his concert in hopes of getting him because he was going to do it, but then he backed out.
That's what happened with me
wow.
too.
Really? Yeah.
We talked for a minute.
You were
and-
supposed to do Corey Feldman?
Yeah, I have him on mine. Yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
and then he just ghosted.
So we showed up, and I dressed as him in Lost Boys with the do-rag and with the Rambo bandana, and Angela dressed like an angel, and Garrett dressed like him in the Burbs, and we showed up, and we were doing everything we could to get his attention. And then watching the show, I felt very bad for him.
Did you not think of dressing as Michael Jackson and just having him come to you?
I thought about just putting a halo over my head and looking enough like Corey, the other Corey, that he would think that it was him.
You could have dressed like Charlie Sheen and had him run into a trap. And
Oh,
then
that's
caught him.
true. If I just dressed up like a tub of Crisco.
You just dress up like a thing of KY and Harvey Weinstein's couch at the Four Stevens.
Four Stevens was the name of the producers. The Four Seasons was the No, we went because I seriously want to interview him because I loved him as a kid. Like Stand By Me, I watched with
Everybody
my son.
loved him as a
Yeah.
kid. That was the
Well,
problem.
yeah, I mean that's the problem. You know, Cherry Pie, that song. It's written about his asshole.
Why does this keep coming up on every podcast I'm on with you? What the fuck?
I just wanted to use it again.
What was it like working at Playboy?
Wait, she was making a point.
I lost my point.
I'm sorry. If
I don't know where it
interrupted.
was. Yeah, I got lost in all of that.
Oh, she wasn't a.
He was
oh, it was
explaining
passing.
about
That's-
bookers and getting passed.
Just
Yeah.
being passed at a club and you can go in there as a regular. And then
Oh,
they
yeah.
can
I was
kinda-
just basically saying that, like,
They let you in the back door, like the Corey Haim door. I'm sorry.
You just keep coming.
so that's the problem. They wouldn't stop coming. Look at her. Now she's a comedian. That's what Corey gets.
I
They
passed
just
him?
keep coming.
See, this is what I need. I
You're
need somebody to
past
jump on that. Like, I'm
You
not
didn't
the
even
only
have to
weirdo in
suck
the
a
room.
Well, not for that.
Yeah, I mean, why even close the door? Just keep it. Right, sorry.
In 10 seconds or less, it stopped being about whether you were funny. It started being about whether you were on message. And that kind of changed everything. And then everybody kind of got the point that it was like, it doesn't matter if you're funny. It matters if you're saying what we want to say. And the whole Andrew Schultz thing was a booker came into the room and it was a booker. And she was like, Andrew, you're not going to tell that joke. And the reason I'm telling this is because it kind of scared me out of being who I wanted to be for a little bit also. And then I really regret that and went too far the other way of being like, I'm saying whatever the fuck. Andrew sat there and he goes, yo, are you a comedian or are you a booker? Like, if you want to tell your jokes, you go on stage. And she's like, Andrew, I will not book you here if you tell that joke, that Trump joke. And he goes up, and he wasn't Andrew Schultz. He was just a guy.
Yeah.
And he sat on the stool and looked over in this tight little room and was like, y'all see that fat bitch with the blue hair over there? She says y'all can't handle a Trump joke. Is that true? And then you could like feel the heat radius. It was like Chernobyl. You were like, oh, this thing's about to blow. And the joke was like kind of an innocuous joke. It was very funny. It was something to the effect of like, I don't want Donald Trump to be president, but I don't want Donald Trump to ever not run for president. He's the funny. Like, we need to make him run for mayor, run for governor, just line people up and let this dude roast, right? And it was a funny joke, and the room clapped, and he like looked at her, and she like stormed out of the room. And this was like 2015, and I was like, this is fucking weird.
Yeah.
Like, this is a weird thing
Yeah.
to like throw a fit over.
Yeah, I feel that is like something I regret, is just letting it kind of scare me off stage. Although again, it's like that gay, everything happens for a reason. It forced me at the same time, my audience online was growing and I was like, well, just focus on this. It freed me from waiting tables, which I was doing at the time. And I stopped getting up as much and I started doing dumpster fire in my garage. And then 2019, like through all of 2019, and then 2020 came. So I was already set up for the pandemic. And had I been waiting tables and grinding and like still doing comedy, I would have been completely fucked. So
Yeah, I noticed the shift in 2012 when I first went to LA when they were going to bring back In Living Color, and for like 2 minutes I was going to write for it, then they canceled it. But it was very irreverent, and but I could just see the writing on the wall of the different things going on, a lot of the bureaucracy going on in LA, and I could feel it in the rooms. That stuff I just didn't like it. I'm like, and what's the goal here? I'm like, I have been working as a comic on the road at that point for 8-9 years. Why am I, or at 8 years? So I'm like, why did I come here to get approval of others just so I can go get booked where I've already been working all these years? It made no sense to me because my goal was stand up. I want to make movies, but I want to make independent movies. I don't want to work with studios. I don't want to. I mean, I would. Don't get me wrong, but it's like I wanted an in. That's why I was there.
Sure, yeah.
But then getting the other approval of comics, I'm like, I can't. I'm sober. I can't go to this place every night.
Yeah,
and hang
that's
out
the
with
other
all
thing.
these
The
people.
hanging out to like get time.
Networking.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't worth it to me. So like I'd go to a couple clubs and do time, but the whole time I'm just trying to now get booked on the road because I rented an apartment.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I got to keep making money. So it's always just been about doing stand up to me that I never really was trying to seek the approval of like these cliques.
When did you think that for the longest time I felt like comedy was about pushing boundaries, and then somewhere it changed to becoming about staying within the boundaries, right? And you take people that are like, there's people that have never even told a joke, they just mimic on TikTok, and they're hosting late night. They've never actually said a word.
See, I don't know that. Maybe it's because I'm outside of it. I feel like comedy never used to really be political at all. Like I think of what's her name, Kathy Griffin and like Chelsea Handler. Like that was my exposure to comedy. Or Dane Cook. Like it was like just like storytelling kind of. And once in a while, looking back, maybe there was a little bit of like tiny
Carlin
sprinkling.
was very political.
See, I never. I wasn't like into comedy. Like I'd see like the poppy kind of people.
We didn't hate each other, right? Like Pryor was very political, right? But it was in a way where it was like, yeah, Italians do be like that. Like I think somewhere along the line we actually like started hating each other, so we couldn't joke with one another.
Well, Eddie Murphy brought up people together more. Pryor was more showing people something they had never seen before, which was like people were not aware of, like they were aware of the ghetto, but they never heard a story about it. I mean, this is a guy who was raised in a brothel. This is a guy who was a crack addict, and it's like you didn't hear that ever before of somebody being that open. I mean, besides maybe Dick Gregory, but he was way more hidden than Pryor. And Red Fox, but Red Fox was street jokes. He was funny, but they were just dirty jokes. But I mean, Pryor was saying like things about where he came from, what his addictions were, all like that's why he's so well regarded, is because it shifted into making it vulnerable and personal, which had never been done before. And I think there is a political aspect to that because you're seeing a side of like poverty and things that you didn't really, and at least white America at the time, for the most part, wasn't really paying attention to.
Yeah, but Candice, you make a great point, because the true art form is like saying something, making a statement, but in a way that's so entertaining or appealing that you don't really realize the statement is being made.
Well, there's also I didn't feel the attitude that I was being talked at or being infantilized, where it was like, I know the way to think and the way to live, and this is the way to do it, so let me preach for an hour on this stage. It was more just like, again, like storytelling, where now I feel like I can't watch any sitcoms because like there's an agenda that's being pushed so heavily. And I remember it was like right after COVID, like 21 or something, and every show I was watching I had to just abandon because it was just like they were laying it on so thick.
Oh, even the commercials.
What was it?